So last night was not a good showing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. After beating the Oklahoma City Thunder at home last Wednesday, the Cavs laid a stinker on national television, lose by 20 points, 134 to 114, and the final score makes it look closer than the game ever actually was. Guys, I'll just open the floor. We can take this in a number of different directions, but what the hell went wrong for Cleveland last night?
Everything. What went right?
Yeah, it was called a basketball game. I mean, these happen.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that it happened in a moment where we were all excited about the game, and it's a nationally televised audience, and everyone's hyping on the Cavaliers, and they just didn't show up. But, you know, I play basketball, you play basketball, like we've watched basketball our whole lives, like these things happen. You know, Duke lost to Lehigh in the tournament. Like, basketball is a make-or-miss deal, and those dudes last night, Dort couldn't miss, okay?
At all.
Dort will never have a game like that again against the Cavs in the playoffs. I'd be shocked. So I think it's just you take it on the chin and you say, oh, we'll get him next time.
It happens. Yeah, that was a clunker.
Yeah.
Look at Cedric the Entertainer. Look over him. You ain't never had a game. Don't look at Cedric. Don't look at me like that.
Let me tell you something real quick. His over-under in points last night, I know because I actually took the over, was 6 points. Actually, 5.5.
And
Are you kidding?
He comes out like he is Timothy. Like, you have never performed like that.
Oh, he is him.
Hey, but listen.
He was last night.
Let me get the camera. Hey, listen.
Get the camera.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Listen, SGA, man. I know you see what I said the last game. I know. I said it's SGA. You sound like you're a grocery store, a discount grocery store at that. I'm going to SGA to pick up some ham. You know, they got it down to $2 a pound. I'm going to SGA's. It sounds like an open.
He dropped some hams last night.
That picture is wild, dude. Look at him in the picture. You see that?
He's kind of an odd-looking duck.
He looks a little interesting in that picture.
And he was a stone cold, odd-looking assassin like last night. Evidently, Oklahoma City has forwarded you everything that we said at Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And I apologize to you, man. You didn't have to come out here and hit every mid-range jumper. You did not have to come out here and throw daggers at us first 5 minutes of the game. You was taking everybody to rack, and listen, you are good. I never disrespected you that much. You did not have to come out here and give us buckets like this. But,
well, you did say he sounds like a discount grocery
I did.
store.
There wasn't nothing discount about that. They don't even give out discount cards at his grocery store if they had them. He's the top of he's a Whole Foods store.
Yeah, they don't take coupons at his store.
Whole Foods. Everything he was throwing up cost $10. You go on Whole Foods, meat's $10. Toilet paper's $10. Gatorade is $10. He was smoking us. I apologize. If we do meet up again, do not take what I said out against my Cleveland Cavaliers, because last night you was like, oh, there's levels to this. And that 40 burger, it was looking nasty. And it was up against a Donovan Mitchell performance that was,
What's wrong with Donovan Mitchell? What is wrong with Donovan?
Let's talk about the other stuff, and then we'll get to
We're
Donovan.
gonna get,
I got a thesis on Donovan.
Something is not right
and
with Donovan
we'll get
Mitchell.
to that, but otherwise, Jay, from a defensive standpoint, the Cavs' offense struggled, but they gave up 77 points in the first half. Defensively, this is not an Oklahoma City team that shoots a ton of threes, and last night they couldn't miss. Do you chuck that up to just a super hot, supernova shooting performance from OKC, or was there something a little more concerning about how Cleveland tried to defend them?
I think what you said, Dustin, is right on the money. I think they knew in the first 6 minutes. It's interesting. They came out, it was 4-0. I thought, okay, ready to go. Here we go. And then they just went to sleep. They missed like 9 or 10 shots in a row. And sometimes in athletics, even if you feel you're the better pitcher versus hitter, hitter versus pitcher, whatever, corner and wide receiver, in an individual matchup, sometimes in sports, you have confidence in saying, I'm better than this guy. Mm-hmm. But on that particular day, you're not, and you know you're not.
Yeah.
And it almost
you meet
feels
a buzzsaw.
like
You meet a buzzsaw.
You meet a buzzsaw.
I see it on the tennis court all the time. Not to make everything tennis, but like that, you can see momentum shift, and like
you can't get it back.
Whether I'm a player or I'm watching it, like you can't get it back.
You're like,
this guy's
have a service break.
He's on today, and his forehand is cooking. I have nothing I can do.
And I felt like they got to that place mentally in the first quarter, which was kind of surprising to me. But I feel like
they got down 20-something points, right?
Almost right away. And I felt like they recognized that, and they kind of said, path of least resistance, let's not go and give 110% for the last 3 quarters when it's not going to mean anything. I felt like they kind of laid down.
I thought so. There's a lot of gameplay stuff that it's the first time I've seen. But the first time I saw is the Cavs not matching the intensity and physicality of the push for the Thunder. I thought the Thunder came out and made it abundant. We are going to play this style of basketball. When the first play of the game, Jalen Williams basically fouled Evan Mobley. And I'm like, man, that was an aggressive foul. I mean, he's one of the big guys.
But then Allen had the big dunk for the first score of the game, and I thought, okay, we matched that intensity, and then it just evaporated.
Then they ratcheted it up. They ratcheted it up more. They can't keep coming at guys. And then when you start having that pressure, Mikey McNuggets could tell you, he played guard, he played basketball, is your coach is always going to say, hey, guards, you got to be tough with the basketball. You got to be tough. You got to be able to get into our sets. And that's why we do those switch over dribbles and dribble 3 ways and get down. We got to get in our sets early, and we can't be getting knocked off the basketball and picking our dribble up at 90 feet. I thought the OKC's defense was abundantly clear that they made it a point to say, all these guys, if Donovan and Darius is cool, I thought they made it abundantly clear. Max Strus, you not getting nothing. George Niang, you ain't getting nothing. Isaac Okoro, you ain't getting. They said, we're going to make the guys that we don't trust them skill sets. Those guys are guys that have been handling the basketball way too much for our liking, and they clamped down on it. You saw turnovers from Strus. You saw Niang look uncomfortable. You saw Isaac Okoro. Karis LeVert got the ball taken from him multiple times. And they never punched back in terms of being physical. And the thing that really annoyed me the most was, and I think Charles and Kenny talked about it, is that the Cavs, without Hartenstein on the court, they had the advantage in size.
Should have, yeah, they did.
I would have liked to see it. Now, granted, Mobley missed some bunnies. I thought Donovan Mitchell missed some bunnies right at the rim that he should be making. But the emphasis should be, you know what, we're going to kill y'all down low. You might stop us this time, but them 6'5" dudes, we're going to hammer you down low. But when you get down, the natural progression is we got to get back. Let's keep
start
shooting
jacking up threes.
Let's keep shooting these threes.
Mike, one other thing before you go, Mike, I thought the crowd was a typical OKC crowd.
Right.
I've been there for games. Their crowd always amazes me, even though I know it's a great crowd. Like when it was like 9-7 or whatever, and they took their first lead, it sounded like a playoff game.
Every home game there.
I know. It is just their crowd is now. It's probably because that's all they have. That's it. So imagine if Cleveland had one pro sports team, but that fan base, when they come into that building every night, they imagine that they're in sweats and they've got to do their part to get the team a win. And I thought they were great last night, like playoff game great.
Yeah, that felt like a playoff game. It felt that energy level. And I wrote this on Twitter. I said, the Cavs going to learn from this. They're going to learn a couple of things. Like when you go into a gym, a finals type game, where you're playing in another team's gym after you won a game, all that's out the window. Oklahoma City Thunder was treating this as, we're going to get our get back. We at home.
They got it. Yeah,
we got that home cooking. And like you said, one of the best crowds in the league. You know you got a great crowd when you could do the Neapolitan crowd stand stuff. White section here, blue. Black section here, white. And then we're going to go 2 blues back. And they be in there full. I got my blue shirt. You don't see nobody out of wax. You don't see nothing.
Yeah,
they ready to go.
So I want to mention and add on to something G said, but I want to preface everything with 2 things first. The Cavs did not play well last night, but give Oklahoma City a ton of credit. Like, they brought the fight to Cleveland. They shot the crap out the ball defensively. It was as good of a defensive performance as I can remember. SGA was incredible. Like, give them a ton of credit. I don't want anything I'm going to say to take away from what OKC did last night because they played awesome. And secondly, one bad game does not negate the first 39 games of the season.
Oh, no.
And I don't want anyone to overreact to just one bad performance, as bad as last night was. But 2 things that G mentioned. He must listen to the post-game show last night because I talked about him a little bit. I want to expand on it here. First and foremost, I thought last night was the first time Kenny Atkinson got legitimately out-coached all season. They had the size advantage without Hartenstein. they had a guy named Carlson, who I remember from watching in the NCAA tournament last year, who I told myself at the time, this dude's never playing in the pros.
Right.
Had a great game against them last night in these backup big minutes. Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, who started at center last night in place of Hartenstein, is listed on ESPN at 6'8", 240.
Yeah.
That was their tallest player on the court, was
Wow.
6'8", 240. I feel like when you have Mobley and the progression he's made this year and Jared Allen,
Yeah.
you can't get into a three-point shooting battle when you have that level of size advantage, and I didn't think the Cavs took advantage of their size. Now, once again, credit OKC, because as soon as they caught it in the post, they were sending doubles and triples and trying to get the ball out of their hands.
They were.
And defensively, I thought they did a good job against that. But if Evan's taking the jump that we keep saying he's taking, and we think Jared Allen can be an all-star, those two need the ball on the block with the ability to score way more frequently than the Cavs put them in a position to get to. And part of the reason they didn't get in position to get to it, to G's point, the physicality was ramped up last night. And those OKC guards, Wallace, Dort, SGA, Jalen Williams, they will hound you for 94 feet. Alex Caruso falls into this category too.
Yeah.
And this is a trend now in 2 of the last 3 games that we have seen that I'm not circling as a major red flag, but this is something that I don't know how you can fix with the current roster construction without some guys making just individual progression.
So
it's the physicality, not necessarily on the wings, but when the guards close the space on Darius and Donovan and throw off the offensive rhythm just a tiny bit, they're attacking them, they're physical on drives. As soon as they come by, the help guys give them a little elbow, all within the realms of not getting a whistle, but just a little added physicality over the course of the Indiana game with the full court press. We saw the offense just be completely thrown off rhythm last night, completely thrown off rhythm in the first quarter against OKC last week. They were completely thrown off rhythm too, but Max Strus hit 3 threes in that first quarter and saved their ass. That was kind of the underrated storyline from that whole game, was Max Strus saving them in the first quarter, not being down 13 points after the first break because of his threes. Darius and Donovan aren't putting on 15 pounds or growing 4 or 5 inches through the course of the season. And we've talked about at length the difficulties of undersized guards in the playoffs when the physicality ramps up and slows down.
Yeah.
To me, more than anything else, that was kind of I got to make a mental note of this, because this is 2 of the last 3 games where bigger physical guards got up in the Cavs, Donovan, Darius particularly, and got physical as they started to initiate their offense, and it threw off the timing of everything, and the Cavs just never seemed to be in sync.
is that the blueprint?
Yeah, and it's the same thing Atlanta did, by the way.
I know
gave them
it.
issues earlier with Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. It's less of the size on the wings. I just think it's more of the physicality up at the point of attack when they're trying to initiate the offense.
What's the counter to that?
I
It's
think
be more efficient, but it's tough. I mean, that's one of the things that being 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" at the guard positions, or having the 7'2" wingspan like Jalen Williams, that's why it makes certain guys more valuable than others.
you can't. So, and I know this.
It's not, real quick, sorry, G, and then I'll go. It's not a fatal flaw, but it is something that you can certainly do against the Cavs that has given them fits over the last 2 weeks.
And especially if you're hitting shots, because what I would say is you could get out in transition more. I still want to see Donovan Mitchell in the open court more, putting pressure on the defense. I want to see Darius Garland getting the ball, filling the lanes, and then guys like Isaac Okoro who are going to struggle. George Niang is going to struggle when you get down to a bogged-down game in a half-court game. I want to see you get more fast break points. But the thing is, it's hard to run fast breaks when you're getting the ball out of basket, taking it out because they're scoring.
Right, yeah.
You know, so that is, if you want to run.
That starts with defense.
And that starts
Yeah.
the defensive end of the floor, Jay.
Yes, yep.
You got to get stops. You got to be able to secure the rebound and go. And guys need to be intentional in sprinting and getting out in the open court. Because, you look at that. Donovan Mitchell right there. He had 8 points. A lot of his shots, and this is something, McNuggets kind of alluded to this a couple of weeks ago. A lot of his shots are contested step backs. A lot of them. If he's hitting that contested step back 3, you're in trouble. He'll go off like he did for 35 against the Pacers. But
The problem is it's not, it's not a high percent shot.
Right.
And so he's got to find other ways to score points.
Right.
To get buckets. And it may be off the dribble. It may be, trying to come off pick and rolls. Whatever they've got to do to get him open to where he doesn't have to take those step backs that are contested, I would advise them to get on that.
Yeah.
Because this crap is not going to work in the playoffs.
Mike, the
Especially,
shooting, we talked about how we felt that collectively and even some individually, they were shooting over their means, over their averages. I feel like the last couple of games they've taken a real step back, a regression to where they probably should be shooting. Do you feel that's the case? And if so, is it because they're not getting the looks that they were early? Why is that happening?
Their regression to the mean still has them an entire percentage point above anyone else in basketball. So they're still the best
Currently.
three-point shooting. Yes, currently. And
They haven't been the last 2 weeks.
No, but I'm saying on the season, they're still 39.7%, which is an entire point higher than Milwaukee at 38.7 in second place. So even with the regression the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
they're still the number one shooting team in basketball. As a team, to shoot over 40%, we talked about it, hadn't
Not
happened
gonna
since the
happen,
2020, 2021 season.
Yeah.
Incredibly rare. So you expect some sort of regression. I think part of it is specifically in the last 4 games. You want to go back to OKC in the first time. They're just working harder to get certain shots. And guys who had been making shots, Niang, Merrill, who made 3 threes last night in garbage time but was MIA when the first 3 quarters that really mattered. Levert's three-point percentage has fallen from the high 40s. Isaac Okoro's made 1 3 in 2025. He is 3 of 19 since returning from the shoulder injury. He was shooting 50% from 3. He's down to the low 40s. Ty Jerome went from 50%. He's in the low 40s now. So you're just seeing guys
Come back to earth.
shoot above where their career percentage is still, but of the last 2 weeks, they've taken a step back. And to answer your question earlier, I did a bad job of how do you kind of beat physical defense up front. You got to still drive, draw the defense, kick, and hope the guys make the open shots. How do you beat pressure defense? Get past it and kick so you can't have that pressure up high, because
Right.
if you are
Early,
up high,
early,
exactly,
right?
early, because if you are up high, it's going to leave open shooters on the corners, and the Cavs, like we said, have shot out of their mind. And 2, you go back to a pick-and-roll offense, which was the bane of our existence for the last 3 years, but how do you get a physical defender off you? You have Jared Allen pick him 35 feet from the basket, but that kind of goes against a lot of what Kenny Atkinson wants to do.
Yeah, and it almost feels like we'd be taking a step back.
And I felt yesterday, watching the game, it looked like there was a small regression back to that style of game, because I saw a lot of dribbling.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of dribbling, dribble at the top of the key. It's 12 seconds, dribble one more, a couple passes.
Dude, they just didn't have it, man.
Yeah.
And not just in the
bad
fact
game.
that they missed shots. They were flat from the second they got on the floor, and people say, how can you come into a game flat? It happens. I can't explain it. I don't know how it happens. I don't know if it's what they ate the night before, if it's the flight, whatever. You played sports your whole life. Same with me. I've been in games where we came out flat, and I'm like,
How? We had a great week of practice.
0-3, Michigan, up there. Flat as hell. Getting our doors blown off first half. We came back in the second half, but the first half, I'm looking around, we're all lethargic.
Yeah.
That's what the Cavs looked like last night, and I think they reverted back to what they did last year because they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they tried to call the timeouts, and I thought, and you said this coming out flat, you don't know why. Sometimes it's a great phenomenon. There's games
It really is.
where you come out and then it could be one person making a play who you normally doesn't. You say, oh, damn it, we about to be good today because so-and-so just made a play.
Yeah.
Now, then all of a sudden, it just feels like it's a snowball effect. But there's also times you got to have a great week of practice. You got a great shoot-around. You got great preparation. You know the scout report.
Shoot.
And then the first 10 shots don't fall. And then Lou Dort starts hitting threes. And you're like, come on.
Let me tell you something.
It's Dort. He ain't like that.
Hey, man, we played you guys in 1999 at Fawcett. Man, we had a great game plan. Thought we had a chance against you guys my sophomore year. And first play of the game, Mike Doss returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Oh, wow.
And our sideline was like, yep.
You know,
It's over.
And
That was last night. It's a game. I mean, I felt like after they had the lead, I actually think they had the lead 7-4 at one point, and then that was it. Then they get down 20. I'm like, it's over. They're not. They're going to lose this. I said this to Sarah last time. I'm like, they're going to lose this game by 30.
I remember, it's funny, I've never told you this story, but that game, they made a big deal in the locker room all week about how Glen Oak was at home. And Glen Oak we shared it.
The only thing at home about that was the eagle in the middle of the field.
They had clippings up of this damn eagle all week.
We shared Fawcett Stadium
at Fawcett
Hall of Fame.
We're the defending 2-time state champions.
USA Today, #1 in the nation.
And they got a damn eagle on your field. They're going to trot this guy, Dustin Fox, and his whole lineage down here. He's going to have all the people in the stands, all his brothers, all his uncles, everybody playing in the NFL, these Foxes. And they're going to get him the damn ball 100 times in that game. Dustin played tailback at the time. and he was the greatest white hype in Stark County. He ran 40-inch vertical, 4.4. He's tough, got the pedigree. Is this what we're going to do today? This is what we're doing? They say he's going to Ohio State, too. Well, I mean, I thought we had the guy that was going to Ohio State, Mike Doss. He plays corner, too. Are you going to play when you get to Ohio State? Doss was just, they just kept telling him that all damn week. In the first play of the game,
80 yards,
Gone.
house, and he dove in the end zone like Superman.
and
I'll never forget, his back flap was flying,
had a back
and he
flap.
spreads eagle, and he
Has a
it's
visor,
over. And
it
we
was
went on to
over.
lose like 37-7.
and it was done after that. And that's the
Over.
way momentum. And so Mike Doss, he's your best player. You see him show up against Warren, Ignatius. No, it don't matter.
The analogy is that Shy
SGA
was Mike Doss.
He was Mike Doss. He put
took it
the
over.
tape on, and the first three or four possessions, when he was chirping and he was mic'd up, he said, "Hey, I ain't gonna tell you I'm mic'd up right now. I ain't gonna say what I want to say." Man, he started hitting the mid-range jumpers, and it was shot hands up. And when somebody got a shot hand in between your jumper and it's going in nothing but the I said, "Oh, he's on one right now." His cornrows even looked like they just had got
they were
done.
fresh.
They was fresh.
Yeah. I don't
He
even know
had
nothing about it, but
fresh
they looked fresh.
headband, and he was not playing around. And he looked like he was playing in some Travis Scott Yeezys
Those
or
are
something.
sick, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, y'all in for it. Donovan
feeling
Mitchell.
himself.
He was
There
Donovan
were
Mitchell. What are you
MVP?
doing?
He's the heavy betting favorite.
I know. I know.
And deserves it, in my opinion.
And you know what? I was skeptical coming into last night. I said, I just don't know that
don't
this
know.
guy is the
Right.
MVP.
Man.
And after last night, I'm like, okay, he just trounced the best team in the NBA and made it look easy. Maybe he is the MVP.
It's the fewest minutes in a 40-point game in the last 5 years. So,
Really?
yeah.
Wow. So his efficiency was off the charts.
With that being said, though, it's just one game.
just
We
one
beat
game,
them. They beat us. It's all good.
You understand, in the finals, we're going to have to play games in OKC if we get there.
Yes.
And that could happen. Like,
That's gonna happen.
I watch the finals every year. You do. And teams go on the road, and a lot of times they get the doors blown off.
Yep.
There's a reason why you play 7 games, and there's
Yeah.
a reason why you want to be the team that's got the home court in that game 7.
Yeah,
And now, by the way, their hold on the best record in the NBA is really nice.
Oh, it's tight.
As close as it's been.
No, it's 34-34.
Right.
Wins. They're exactly even now, and they split. So
And prior to that, it was up to 2 game. They had a 2-game lead, and now you blink and it's gone.